We're back out here at the Big Lake once again, and today we're talking about how to locate those big bass during the pre-spawn. Stick around. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you have to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video.
There we go, I got him. Ooh, that's a good one too. Ooh, that feels nice. There we go, got another swim jig fish. Got him in the bottom lip. He came up and that's on the 1/4 ounce, you know. There we go. You know, that's that 1/4 ounce swim jig right there. Little. But he's kind of got, his back is all kind of goobered up a little bit. But he's still eating. What you guys think? Yeah, he's right at a pound. He feels right at a pound. Beautiful little fish, but there you go. That is another one of those, let me get the grass out of your mouth there, dude. Sorry about that. That's another one of those, you know, lowbrow rig, I guess you guys are calling it. Woo, there he goes. Thanks for the extra show there, buddy. We appreciate that.
Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing, and today we're talking about finding those big bass in the early part of the pre-spawn. I've had a lot of people ask me, they say, hey Joe, we know what to throw, we've talked about that, that's all over YouTube, but what we really don't know is how are you finding these big bass? How can you find those? And it's actually not really that complicated. As we said back in the fall transition video, I'll link that down in the description below. After you're done watching this video, you can go check that one out. A lot of the same rules are going to apply. Just as before, the bass are only ever going to be in one of 3 places. They're either going to be out deep, they're going to be up shallow, or they're going to be transitioning between one of those 2 places. Right now, in the pre-spawn, we're having them transfer from out deep back up shallow, where they're going to be feeding up and getting ready for the spawn. So what are we looking for? What are the indications, and where do we want to target? Well, it's actually not as complicated as it sounds. Again, like we said, 3 places. So which one of those 3 places do we want to target? Well, I guess it depends on what type of fishing you're looking to do. And that's not really a cop-out if you think about it. If you're a boat angler, chances are you're going to be targeting either the deeper water or you're going to be targeting the transition points. If you're a bank angler, you're going to be targeting the shallower water or, again, those transition points. Those transition points are going to be the keys to everything, though. Those are going to be the ones that have the most active bass. They're going to be en route from the deeper water to up shallow, where they're going to be feeding and getting ready for the spawn. Now, why are they the most active ones? Well, they're the ones that are on the move, and they're following those old same migration routes that they have for generations. This is where tools like Google Earth really come into play. Or if you have past knowledge of your lake, where those creek arms are, where rock piles or stumps or isolated cover that those bass are going to use as holding up points as they transfer from the deeper water to the shallower water, those are going to be the places that you want to target. Those are the best and most choice targets. Why? Because we can consistently catch fish off of them as the fish are transferring from deep to shallow. They will repopulate fairly quickly.
Well, Texas rig, right in the hook for the mouth. It's about, I don't know, 1.5 pounds. It's not a bad little fish. It's a good fish, about 1.5 pounds. So we're going to be happy with that dude today. Gorgeous, gorgeous. That gets the skunk out. The thing is, and that fish is cold. That fish is cold too. The thing is sometimes you just got to slow it down. Sometimes you got to speed it up. But today, you know, you've got to let the fish tell you what they want, how they're going to want it. And he choked it pretty good.
Let's say, for an example, that there's an underwater creek arm, right? And along that creek arm, the bass are using it as a navigation route to go from their wintering home out deep up to the shallows. There's rock piles and there's an isolated stump here and there. Those are going to be the places that the bass are stopping for a while to rest, feed up, or whatever it is that they want to do. Now, the beauty of those places is they repopulate, and they repopulate really quickly, much more quickly than you think they do. We can catch bass off of them and then come back later and possibly catch more bass off of them. Now, if you're in a boat and you have electronics, chances are you're going to see quite a few fish on a lot of these places. Don't expect to be able to catch all of those fish. If you can catch one, two, or even three fish off of that structure, off of that cover, then you're doing good, because it does not take the bass long before they figured out what's going on and either they move on, they get out of the way, or they just shut down. So, again, that's where it's imperative to leave that place, let it sit for a while, and then come back. You might be able to catch a few more fish off of that same spot in a couple of hours, or you may have to wait a day or two. But either way, those places are going to repopulate. And finding those places is key. If we take a look here at Google Earth, this is the northwest arm of the Big Lake. Now, out here, right here in the middle, this is one of the places that the bass like to winter. It's one of the very deepest parts of the lake, and there's an old roadbed that runs near here. Plus, we have changes in types of cover and structure. This is actually one of the few spots where we see a clay hard bottom transition to a more silty vegetated bottom, and the bass like to hang out in this particular part of the lake. Now, there's an old creek arm that swings this way across to these back pockets. Now, following that old submerged road, the bass actually still use that like a highway. You see that it takes us up into this back pocket here next to this secondary dam. Now, there's a couple of points along this route. There's a place right here that has quite a few laydowns. And then there's a place right here just off of this campground that has the steepest bank in the entire lake. It's the steepest drop off, and the fish like to set up just on the other side of this point to get out of the current. So we can use this information to trace the route back that the fish are going to take into this back pocket, into this back cove here that the fish are going to use for their pre-spawn area before they go up shallow and start to spawn. That's why things like Google Earth and Navionics are such great tools. If you haven't gotten into using them, especially for a bank angler, they are so key, because oftentimes these are the only forms of electronics that you have available to you when you're fishing from the bank.
On crawfish. Oh, there we go, I got him. I saw you follow him in. There we go. I saw you follow him in. All right, so we have success. Not a bad one, about 1.5 pounds. Good fish.
So as we've said, when the fish are following up on that migration route, and now that they're up shallow, again, that's going to give a bank angler great access. And a lot of times, whenever we're in a warmer climate, such as the deep south, a lot of these lakes are still going to be on drawdown, which gives a bank angler the unique advantage of being able to access those fish. They're going to be active, they're going to be feeding up, and you can actually make casts to them. As we've said before, you'll be able to see that water boiling, and it'll just be churning as those bass are feeding up on those big balls of shad. But after a while, invariably, that bite will die off, even if you're still seeing those bass bust up. There's not really much you can do except, as we've said before many times, keep covering water. Look for another spot along that migration route. It's always best, in my opinion, before I even head out to the lake, I'm going to look at Google Earth and I'm going to map out 3 and 4 spots at the bare minimum, places along the migration routes that those bass are using. I'm going to pick out several spots that I know that I want to be able to target, so that way I will have options. And options are something we always want to have, because the more options we have, the more opportunities we have for catching those bass. So there you have it. The key to finding the bass during the early pre-spawn and into the pre-spawn is understanding their migration routes, knowing where they're going to set up, finding those isolated pockets of cover or structure that they're using. Remember, they want something different, they'll want something that stands out. Those are going to be your best chances of landing those big bass. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.